Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. I'm AJ Black One and this is an update to the fastest laps leaderboard about every single car in MRT. Of course, every single car is a bit of a liberal word for now since there's only 50 cars as you can see, but this is due to it being based every single time on the newest retunes and not every single car immediately. So as the updates progress and new cars get retuned, I'll be adding them into this list and get the full picture of every single car in game. But for now, it will only be the retuned stock cars and I'll only use tuned ones if I want to show a special comparison or something along those lines. Of course, this centers around New Tokyo. In a small custom track that I found from a server called R3C, I tried it out and started doing a few hot laps and trying to see which were the fastest cars I could take around the track. This has been going on since 2022 and it's come full circle to now that I'm redoing it so that I can get the fastest cars and compare it against that time. So I'm going to be explaining a little bit about every single car that you will see on screen, little bit by bit, as the video continues along for the full runtime. Continuing on with that idea, if you like the video, you can subscribe if you want, and if you want to talk with me, you can see my Discord server link down in the description below. But anyway, apart from that, let's talk a little bit about the previous car in 42nd place. It's the Lotus, or actually it's the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 3, I don't know why I said Lotus. The issue with it is that it is severely underpowered, so it is currently in the Tier 2's class at the very bottom of the list. But anyway, we continue on with the Mazda RX-8, which is a pretty decent car, pretty fun to draw around the corners. Currently, I had a lot more to say about these cars, but apparently I didn't have my mic on during the last time I was talking. So of course everything I said went down the drain, and a little bit of it will sound monotonous. The Elise beforehand was a little bit underpowered, so I got dropped to Tier 2. This thing was always Tier 2, but it's just quite decent fun. It's not that fast, it's not that slow, it's just in the middle. Now of course, the AK9 is a weird situation with the DC2 right now. The DC2, I'm going to spoil it for you, it's in the next placement of this list, as you can see it here. The AK9 and the DC2 are quite similar currently, and they are both pretty interchangeable from what I've seen. The only difference is that the AK9 has a little bit more acceleration, I think, while the DC2 is a little bit more about the handling, even though the top speeds aren't the same, to be honest. But anyway, C80 dropped to Tier 2, not much to say, it's not that great. The BMW M1, this is a power car with 270 bhp, pretty light, no grip, no control in the corners. Of course, you can still drive it because it's a Tier 2, but it's not fast because it doesn't have enough grip to combat something like the RS200, which is a rally car with AWD, so of course it's never going to match it. The RS200 is nearly a second faster just because of the handling, and the S15 beat it because it had a lot more top speed, 20 km/h more down the straight or 14, now I'm not so sure. Anyway, our next car in 30th place, the Peugeot 205 T16, a new addition for this list. And it is one of the lightest cars on the game, so of course it gets into 6th place for its class. Here we go, the Sport Quattro, a previous Tier 3 which got dropped to Tier 2 because it doesn't have enough grip anymore. A new addition to the list, so I don't have anything to compare it against to. All I can say is that it doesn't have enough power for its weight. The same thing goes for the Mitsubishi GTO MR. This thing got a little bit of a few new parts added to the car so it doesn't look as ugly anymore, with it being the facelift from '99, I think. Of course, here we go with the Pulsar, which is the 3rd place in Tier 2s. 27th overall, dropped to Tier 2, not much to say except that it's a more creepy Silvia. Now, this was the best car as Tier 2s went, but it isn't anymore, the Civic FT2 Type R. So it is rounding out the list in 26th place, and here we go starting with the Tier 3s. We continue on with the Toyota Supra. A pretty overrated car, but it can be fun and it can be competitive if you upgrade it a bit with WR3 and ECU3. But otherwise it's just heavy, and there is going to be a buff coming for it soon with 360 bhp. The SL73 is a very heavy focus car. It is extremely heavy on the weight and it's extremely heavy on the power, with it having over 500 bhp stock. Now here we go, rounding out the Tier 2s, it's the Honda Integra TC5 Type R, actually beating Tier 3s for the first time. As a Tier 2 at least. But anyway, continuing on, here we go with the ATES Assistance. It's the Skyline GTR R32 in 22nd of place and 19 for Tier 3s. This car took a little bit of a tumble, being over a second slower. But it's not as bad as the tumble that the Evo took, with it being over a second and a half. This car was actually faster than the Subarus and every single other Evo, but now it's just too heavy. So of course something as light as the Subaru Impreza would be absolutely beat it. And this is actually the first car that we see in the green in this video, with it being on the same class as the DB9, and the newest Tier 4 that got redone. Or actually not the newest, it's just the newest for this video list, being the slowest one. It's another car like the SL73. Too heavy, too much power, not enough grip. This goes in stark contrast against the Subaru Impreza, which is all about its handling and not about its power. It actually doesn't have that much power. It's just very good at the turns, and that's why it's stuck on the 16th place for Tier 3s. This is a similar issue with the Impreza 22B. This shouldn't be a Tier 4. It is beaten by 15 other Tier 3s before we even get there, or actually 16, because I said that wrong the first time. It doesn't go even on the sub 10s, unlike the Evo 6, which actually beats it by quite a lot, being a few 5/10s I think, or 4/10s, I don't remember enough right now, and I don't have the notes side by side with me when I'm talking. But anyway, here comes the R33, a new, or actually why do I keep saying new, it's just another Skyline, which didn't take that much of a tumble, so it stayed a little bit consistent, except for the newest cars that came in and stole its thunder. But anyway, continuing on, only Tier 3s from now, except for the last Tier 4 that we're missing. Most of you already know what it is, but in this case Tier 3, E46, too much power, good handling, but it isn't enough for it. It's only in 14th place overall. And here comes the Carton, something which you actually wouldn't expect to have great handling, except it does. This car is actually one of the cars with the best handling I've tested from this update. And currently I might not sound the best because I'm not in the greatest shape at the moment, just like the 993 Club Sport. This thing actually had a spec change because it lost 100 bhp, but it also lost a ton of weight, being at 700 lbs. This means that it took a tumble, 10 places down the class and over 2 seconds lost in the lap times. Because before it did actually get 106s and now it's only 109s. Another car which also took a really small tumble is actually the Corvette C4, which lost grip I guess, and that's why it's so far down the list. But now, starting with the top 10s, here comes the Split S4 V8. And this actually has a mechanic that isn't that known, which is the overboost. If you rev out a gear, it can turn on for about 4 to 10 seconds. It is usually quite rare, but it boosts the engine by over 40 bhp. Another new car that, or actually it's not new because we already had the data about this, it's the Mercedes-Benz SL55 AMG. This actually got placed into Tier 3s, so it gained a lot of time as well because it gained so much more grip and so much more power, being at over 500 bhp stock if I'm not wrong. The R34 is another car which took a tumble, with 4 places overall lost and over a second gain on the lap times. The grip it had, it isn't enough to combat something like the NA2. The NA2 was actually worse than the R34 last time I tested, during patch 5, but now it seems like the NXX just gained a lot more grip, or actually, it lost grip due to it being a second slower, but it has more than the R34. Or actually, it doesn't even have more. It's just better at the straights and better answer because of its low drag, that's why it beats it. Another car which actually was competing against the R34 and the NA2 is the most expensive car in the game, the GT40. It is somehow in 6th place, but it doesn't beat something like the M850 CSI, the newest attraction of this game. This car has 640 bhp stock, which makes it the highest power car and the highest top speed car in the game as seen in the lap times. I actually got a way higher top speed during the lap, but it wasn't the best one. This is unlike the 964, this was the best lap I got, and it only got a little bit of time, but it gained 6 places because of it. It only got like less than 2 tenths, and it's still beaten by a lot, the other cars at the very least. And in true MRT fashion, there's a broken car at the top of the leaderboard. This is the Mazda RX-7 FD3S. It actually only weighs like 800 kg because of an error in the car itself in how it was written. So of course it's in 3rd place in true MRT fashion. It gained 11 places and it only got like a second. Anyway, here's the fastest tier 3 of the game, the BMW M6, and this actually makes a lot of sense because it's a hidden tier 4. This has 500 bhp from a V10 and it's quite new, which means that it has a lot of grip from its tires. Now here we go, the best car of this update, as always, the Ferrari 288 GTO. And for this one, I'm going to show you the full lap. It's a little bit like a class cannon currently. It should be fast, it is fast, but it doesn't have enough grip to back it up. It used to have a lot of grip, but now it doesn't. Which means that it lost over 2 seconds if I'm not mistaken, yeah. And it is still the first place in lap times and first place in tire force. It has broken acceleration during the gears, which is why it's so fast. But it doesn't have the greatest gear ratios, with its 5th gear being set at 400 km/h or something. So it's basically unusable for this run, which makes the top speed tie with the 850. Even though this thing is quite much lighter, and that's why it can beat the M8. Of course, that's every single car that has been written for now, and I do hope you've enjoyed the video. So, thank you very much for watching, and I'll actually see you in the next one.